It started like any other morning on the farm, coffee in hand, boots on, ready to tackle a long day with my harvester. But when I reached the barn, my heart dropped. Parked right in front of the main doors, blocking the only way out, was a shiny white Porsche. At first, I thought maybe someone broke down and left it there. But no, this wasn't an accident. This was intentional asterisk, and the owner, a woman I'd seen before, one of those I deserve special treatment types. Let's just say she wasn't exactly known for her kindness around the neighborhood. I asked politely, then firmly. I even offered to help her move it. But Karen, yes, the classic Karen, dug in her heels, flipping the situation on me like asterisk by asterisk was the one causing trouble. Meanwhile, my entire day was grinding to a halt because she didn't see any signs, and wouldn't be long. Hours ticked by, my patience gone. Crops needed tending, time was money, and I had work to do. That's when I looked at my harvester, then back at her car, and made a decision. Not one I took lightly, but one she wasn't expecting. What happened next? Well, let's just say Karen learned what happens when you mess with a farmer on a tight schedule. Now, before you think I acted out of anger, let me give you a bit more context. This wasn't the first time Karen had pulled something like this. She'd recently moved into a big modern house right next to my farmland, built where her husband said they have views for days. But the thing is, those views include my working fields. And apparently, farm work is too loud, too dusty, or just too much for her taste. I've caught her filming my tractors, calling the county about noise, even complaining about the smell of fresh manure like it was some kind of personal attack. So today wasn't just about a blocked barn door, it was the last straw in a long string of entitled behavior. The Porsche wasn't even halfway off to the side, it was parked dead center, like my barn was her private driveway. And when I confronted her, she gave me that fake smile and said, "You don't really need to use this door right now, do you?" Meanwhile, behind those barn doors was my combine harvester, key to getting the harvest in before the weather turned. Every hour counted. I tried calling the sheriff's office. Their response, they'd send someone when available. That's when I knew, if anything was going to move that Porsche, it wasn't going to be the law. So there I was, standing in the gravel with my arms crossed, looking at this gleaming Porsche that had no business being there. I could feel the pressure mounting, not just from the blocked barn, but from the ticking clock on my harvest. Clouds were already starting to roll in, and if rain hit before I got that field cleared, I'd be looking at thousands of dollars down the drain. But Karen? She was sitting on her porch with a glass of iced tea, like it was just another lazy Sunday. I thought about calling her husband. He's the type who tries to play peacemaker, but he was out of town. Probably for the best, honestly. I didn't want to deal with both of them. As I stood there, one of my farm hands, Tyler, pulled up in the truck. He took one look at the scene and just shook his head. "She really blocked it again?" he asked. "Yep, again. It was turning into more than just an inconvenience. This was turning into a power play. Karen wanted to show me that my land, my schedule, and my way of life didn't matter, not compared to her right to park wherever she felt like. It wasn't just about space, it was about control. And that's when another thought crept in. Maybe this wasn't just entitlement. Maybe she was trying to drive me out. The wind started picking up, carrying the scent of rain and the weight of a storm that was just hours away. I paced in front of the barn, eyes bouncing between the locked harvester doors and that Porsche, which hadn't moved an inch. Karen was still sitting there, now on a phone call, laughing like nothing was wrong. She didn't even glance in my direction. That smug calm she carried, it was like she wanted me to lose it. Tyler leaned against the truck, quiet, watching me like he was waiting for a sign. "We're gonna miss the window," he finally said, and he was right. The forecast showed a 90% chance of rain by nightfall. If I didn't get the harvester out now, I'd be watching all that hard work rot in the fields. But I still didn't want to cross any lines. I needed one last push to do what I was thinking about. Tyler leaned against the truck, quiet, watching me like he was waiting for a sign. "We're gonna miss the window," he finally said, and he was right. The forecast showed a 90% chance of rain by nightfall. If I didn't get the harvester out now, I'd be watching all that hard work rot in the fields. But I still didn't want to cross any lines. I needed one last push to do what I was thinking about. That's when another neighbor, old Mr. Dalton, came driving by. He slowed down, saw the situation, and gave me a knowing look. "Still blocking your door?" he asked. "She's been calling the county about your tractor noise again." My stomach sank, so this really was more than a one-off. And then Karen got up, walked to her car, and get this, locked it with a loud beep, smiled at me, and went back inside, like she was daring me, like it was a game. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, my phone buzzed. It was an alert from my security cameras, motion detected by the back fence line. I opened the app, and there it was. A fresh section of my fence, cut clean through. Not storm damage, not animal trouble. A clean slice, like someone had gone at it with bolt cutters. My heart dropped. I switched to the next camera feed. Tire tracks. Not tractor, not ATV. Looked like a car. A luxury car. I didn't want to believe it, but the pieces started lining up faster than I could process. The Porsche parked perfectly to block the barn door. A mysterious complaint to the zoning board last week trying to restrict heavy machinery used near residential homes. Then this, someone trying to sabotage the rear access to my fields. Tyler looked over my shoulder. "You think it's her?" he asked quietly. I didn't answer, but he knew. I knew. We all knew. And yet, I had no proof. No footage of her at the fence. Just a rising storm, a locked barn, and a harvester that needed to move now. Karen wasn't just making a point anymore. This was starting to feel like a full-on campaign. And the worst part, she was watching everything from that porch like she already knew or had no good options left. I stood there for another minute, feeling the pressure boil over. The clouds were now thick and heavy, the air smelled like rain, and the clock wasn't slowing down for anyone. I'd done everything by the book, called the sheriff, tried reasoning, even held off when I found the cut fence. But there comes a point when doing things right just lets people like Karen win. So I walked straight to the harvester, climbed up into the cab, and fired it up. The roar of the engine echoed across the fields. That got her attention. Karen flew off the porch, waving her arms like I was about to commit a crime. She started shouting something, but I couldn't hear her over the machine. I wasn't aiming to damage anything. I just inched forward, slow and steady, close enough to make my point. The harvester towered over that Porsche like a beast eyeing a toy. Karen panicked, ran up, fumbling for her keys, and finally moved the car out of the way. Not a scratch on it, but she'd felt the heat. And that was the goal. I finally got the barn open, rolled out, and hit the fields just in time. But here's the twist. 2 days later, a county inspector showed up. Anonymous complaint about unsafe farm practices. When I asked who filed it, he just gave a shrug and said, "Your neighbor doesn't like tractors, huh?" The inspector didn't stay long. He looked around, saw my setup was fully up to code, and even complimented how clean the machinery was. He left with a handshake and a quiet chuckle, clearly used to dealing with concerned neighbors like Karen. I never got official word it was her, but between the timing, the fence, and that Porsche stunt, I didn't need confirmation. The message was clear, she wasn't going to stop. But here's the thing about farming. You learn to weather storms, whether they come from the sky or from next door. I fixed the fence, reinforced the camera setup, and made sure every inch of my property was documented. She hasn't tried blocking the barn since, and every time she sees a harvester out in the field, I notice her curtains twitch, but she stays inside now. In the end, it wasn't about the car or even the barn door. It was about standing your ground when someone tries to push you off it. Life out here isn't always quiet or easy, but it's honest. And sometimes, the only way to deal with entitled people is to show them that respect goes both ways, especially when there's a harvest on the line.